Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Redirecting. I have another very disturbing story that I'm going to be sharing with you. As a video that has gone viral. Millions of views from the link that I saw when it was posted. I believe it was posted today. I don't know if it's on other channels or other sites as well. Anyway, in this video, there is an elderly woman sitting on, it looks like a train or a subway or something like that. And there is a black man who is kicking this elderly woman in her face and head and just beating her basically with his foot, kicking her in her chest and just going to town on her. And you hear other men in the background oohing and eyeing. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. So we have another case of a black woman, this time an elderly black woman. I can't tell what age she was, but she clearly had gray hair and she looked clearly like someone's grandmother. And you have this pathetic black man who decided that she needed to be kicked in her face and head several times. And then he walks off the train and says, "World star, that my N-word," whatever, as if he did something to be proud of. Now, he is no better than the tall Neanderthal who did that to the younger black female in a story that we covered earlier. What I'm seeing here is a connection. I'm seeing that men, whether they're white or black, even Asian, look at the Asian men, Asian, black, white, it doesn't matter. Everyone believes that the black woman is to be beat on, kicked on, stumped, killed, abused. And when I look at this type of behavior, it is very disturbing to me. And then we get backlash from black men who like to come on our channels and say all of this trash to us for even speaking out against these things. Instead of taking any pity on the women involved in these things, they are cheering it on. They're excited about it. Many of them were glad to watch it. I mean, we see channels that are dedicated to bashing black women, and they are headed and hosted by black men. Now, you'll have those in the comment section saying, well, how do you know these aren't white men pretending to be black? Now, I made it very clear in the first video where I talked about this. I said that is true in some cases, but you cannot make that lying excuse for every comment, especially when many of them have channels where they are dissing the black woman, calling her every name in the book, wishing for her death, destruction, all kinds of things. So instead of hiding behind excuses, since you're so proud to talk this way about black women, own up to the fact that you're on other people's channels cheering this mess on. What I need people to understand, especially the daughters of Zion, we have got to get ourselves in a mode of prayer, fasting, and consecration, because right now, everyone wants to talk about the war on black men. There is also a war on black women. I don't like this separation thing that people try to do to make it seem like there's only attacks on black men. There are attacks on black men and black women, but it's really sad when the black man is also cheering on the fact that other men are abusing black women. Now, I like to take my hat off to the brothers who step up to the plate and will not have this, and they confront the issue head on. There was one issue where there was a pregnant sister and this white man was in her face talking trash, threatening to hit her. This big black man intervened. He stepped in between the two, and this white man hit him, and he just jawed him real good. Now, he himself had a weapon, so he was wise in his interjecting himself into the situation. He had a weapon and he used it wisely. He didn't hurt the man with it, but he wanted him to know that he did have it. So if he wanted to take things to the next level, he wanted this man to know that he was prepared to go there to protect this black woman who was pregnant. Now, there was another incident or several incidents where big black men went into these Asian shops and said, "No more. You will not treat our women this way. You will not come into our communities, siphon money out of our communities, and think that you're going to talk to our women and children however you want to." So there are black men who are standing up to these other men. But you do have a bunch of cowards as well who will do nothing, won't say anything. They will record the incidents and will even cheer on the fact that these things are happening. Now, for those of you who said, well, the white man had a gun, what do you expect the men filming to do? Now, if you listen to my video, instead of trying to be such a hate-filled monster, a brute beast as the Bible calls it, if you had listened to the video, most of what I talked about was the fact that there were men in the comment section who were cheering this on, who were saying evil, awful things about the black woman in that video who was hit and beat by the white man. It wasn't so much about the two men filming. I did mention that some of them were saying this is a lady. You shouldn't be doing that. But most of the commentary in that video was aimed at the men who thought this was funny, who said they enjoyed watching this. So reprobates who come on my channel to challenge me and to say these wicked, awful, disrespectful things to me as a daughter of Zion, may the Most High judge between me and you. Because what I was stating is the fact that our men should not cheer this on. There is nothing funny happening in a video such as that. And then also when you look at the fact that this elderly woman is in a position where she is being beat by a black man, she's being beat and kicked, and that there is no one around who is willing to step in to help this elderly black woman. When I say no one around, I'm not even referring to just black men. I'm also referring to any white man who was around to witness this. The fact that any man would watch an elderly woman be beat in such a way is very shameful. Very shameful. And these are the types of things that we are talking about. But there's always the art of deflection that kicks in when we talk about these issues. Now, that man, that black man who was kicking on this elderly woman, it kind of reminds me of those Hebrew Israelites who were saying that they can't wait to, they call him Yahweh Shai. They said they can't wait till Yahweh Shai comes back so they can start killing some of these elderly black bitchs. This is what came out of these wicked men's mouths. And you have people who will cheer this stuff on. You think that the Most High is going to be on your side in this nonsense? You will have to be judged for every idle, wicked word that comes out of your mouth as it relates to things such as this. To think that the Most High is going to give you the power and the authority to beat and kill elderly black women, that's the mindset that we are seeing and we are witnessing. We saw it unfold in the video that is in the description area, where this man, and I don't even think it's proper to call him a man, even the white Neanderthal, it's not even proper to call them men. I don't know what you call them. The only thing that I can call them at this point would be brute beast, that the scripture refers to them as. Because for you to put your hands on a woman in the way that these brute beasts did is just awful. And it was very hard to watch, thanks to the brother who did share the video with me of the elderly woman. Now, this is a brother who shares stories with me quite often. I can't pronounce your name, brother, but thank you for sharing this story with me. And as that brother himself stated, it was very difficult to watch. He stated some other things. He was disgusted by it. Okay, so not every brother cheers these things on. Many of our brothers would not tolerate this type of foolishness. But you got to ask yourself, what kind of mind do you have? What kind of person are you? What kind of wickedness has to be permeating throughout your mind and your body and your brain to condone this type of behavior or to even participate in this type of behavior? I remember one time there was an incident, and this was many years ago. There was an incident where we saw a black man in jail, and it was on video. They were beating him so bad that they broke his legs. And I remember I started crying as I'm watching these cops beating on this brother. They were beating him so bad that they broke his legs. And they were telling him to get up, while at the same time beating him, telling him to get up. And I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, he can't get up. You broke his legs, and I'm frustrated, very frustrated at what I'm witnessing. And then it later comes out that this man had beat on his mother. And so then you begin to understand and realize why judgment, sometimes the Most High use these other nations to be a whooping stick, because you put your hands on your mother. I saw another video where there was a guy who was stomping his mother down in the ground in front of people, and people in a guy in the neighborhood had to intervene and get this Negro off of his own mother. He's stomping her and kicking her down in the ground, and it was just awful. When we look at, one thing we've got to understand, when Yah pours out judgment on our people, sometimes he allows that judgment because we don't stand up against these things. It can hit places where you wouldn't even imagine. Understand his operation. Yah's mode of operation is just like that. Sometimes he will allow that judgment to permeate throughout our communities. And you'll say, well, I didn't have anything to do with that. Or she didn't have anything to do with that. Well, look at how the Most High has dealt with the children of Israel. Sometimes you don't have to have anything to do with anything. He will just pour out his judgment because we don't stand up against this stuff. He says when the enemy comes in like a flood, the spirit of Yahuwah will lift up a standard. And the reason why is because we are not judging. He says our people even go after those who are trying to lift up a standard. You go after them to shut them up. And so the Most High says, okay, you don't have to worry about this one or that one saying anything because you won't judge things properly, because you won't lift up a standard. I'm going to lift up the standard. And when I do it, heads will roll. Heads will roll. This is why we would hear stories in the Bible of 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 Israelite men being slain because the head is out of order. You men are so busy trying to get the women in order, telling the women what they should and shouldn't be doing. And the Most High is saying, you need to get in order because you are the head. You are out of order. And this is why I've allowed these things to happen. In Hosea, in which a lot of brothers don't even like to deal with this scripture, he says, I will not punish my daughters when they commit whoredoms because you men have gone after harlots. You men. So he's saying, look, you expect me to punish the daughters of Zion? I'm not going to punish them. I'm going to punish you because you set the stage for all of the nonsense that we see. If the head is right, the women will be right too. That's just the way it works. That's the way it is. If the head is right, the women will be right. Now, I know that you will have rebels. There's always going to be those in every group. But as a whole, you will see a repairing of our entire family structure if the men would get themselves together spiritually and stop trying to point and blame women for everything. Because the Most High don't see the way you see. His thoughts are not your thoughts. His ways are not your ways. He says he knows your thoughts are far off and he knows that your heart is desperately wicked. So instead of trying to get him to line up with your ways, thinking that the Most High is endorsing this nonsense, he is not. This is why we continue to see the judgment as it is laid out and played out before us. When I see a video such as the one in the description area here, when I see a man putting his foot on an elderly woman, I had all kinds of thoughts go through my mind. This man has just set the stage for some of the worst judgment you can ever imagine. Okay, I could share stories that I know of, even within my own family, or even in my husband's family, I can share stories of disrespect towards a mother. Disrespect towards a mother that landed folk in the grave before their time. This is why the scripture says that your days may be long upon the earth. Honor your mother and your father. Now, that woman may not be his birth mom, but your elders are supposed to be treated as mothers and fathers. And when you disrespect your elders, that's just like disrespecting your mother and your father. And so what he did to that woman was almost the equivalent of doing it to his own mother. And therefore, judgment is going to pursue him, and it's going to be hot on his heels. When the Most High gets done with people like that, they're going to be like, who in the hell left the gate open? Because this judgment that has unleashed is too powerful to even deal with. These things must be talked about, family. I know it makes some of you uncomfortable, especially many of you brothers. You think that you come saying all these wicked words to me is going to change anything. All you're doing is just showing the fact that you don't respect or honor Yah's word, and the fact that he is going to judge our people continuously because of the wickedness that we continue to put out there before the world. He says that we are to be a light to the world, not darkness. We put forth all of this darkness, and we expect people to accept and embrace the fact that we are the children of Israel. We want people to, you got brothers telling people to kiss their feet like they are some righteous, honorable person who deserves this. Everything has a time and a season appointed. But see, you all want all this power and glory right now. The Most High is not going to share his glory with anyone. You are in your time of chastisement, and you're trying to get people to kiss your feet while you're displaying darkness. That is a very quick way to activate the judgment of the Most High against you for this foolishness and this wickedness. I hope that this woman can get justice, this old woman, because what was done to her was utterly ridiculous. And I'm sure there are some Inspector Gadgets out there who are on the lookout trying to find some words that she could have said, or trying to find some way to justify the actions against her. Oh, she said this to him. Oh, she said that to him. That's what some people do. They try to find justification for things. It's not just white people who do that. I've seen brothers do it as well. That's what they were doing in many of the cases, saying, well, she shouldn't have did this, or she shouldn't have said that. There is no justification for what that man did. And if you are one of those who are sitting back cheering this on, and you're happy, and you got some type of joy, you need to check how many demons that done bounced down in your body that have set up shop and moved in. That's what you need to check out, because if you got any type of gratification from watching either of these videos, then you have a serious spiritual problem that needs to be dealt with quickly. Because guess what? Those demons, after a bit, they're going to stir up so badly in you that they're going to want to take you out too. Don't think that demons are just out to get other people. When you allow them to fester and move in, live and dwell in your body and your mind, they are there for your soul. They are after your soul. So they will take you out too. So my suggestion to the daughters of Zion at this point, sisters, we have got to get prayed up. There's no need in crying about this as far as how our men have chosen to treat us. No need to cry about it. Of course, we can cry to the Most High for understanding in all of this, but don't cry for the embracing of men who think this way. We can cry out for justice from the Most High, for protection from the Most High, or even that he will send real brothers who take their roles seriously as mighty men of valor, and not brute beast cowards who think that this type of stuff needs to be cheered on. Okay, I know this has been something that's very disturbing for many of you to watch. It was for me as well, because as I see that old woman, I have no words to even describe what it felt like to look at her going through that. All I know is if I'm feeling anything like what the Most High is feeling, then that brother better watch out, because his word has already stated how he views those type of things, how dishonoring of parents and elders is not tolerated. I don't care what you think. Okay, family, I'm out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.